Hey everyone, in this next series, I'm going to cover development after designing in Adobe XD. So for this project, what I did was I took an old sign-in screen that I created solely in Storyline, this one here, and then I did a new version in Adobe XD. And I use Adobe XD because it helps me to look at the whole user experience and to be able to rapidly iterate on designs before I move into development. I can also prototype things really quickly and test things. It saves me a lot of time in development in the long run, and it's just really quick to work in. So as you can see here, I've got a bunch of different screens going on. So for this project, what we're creating is a sign-in screen for XAPI. So the sign-in screen captures the person's username, the actor, and their email for the email address, and then that information gets passed into some JavaScript to help connect to a learning record store, which basically stores data about learning experiences anywhere. So it can happen outside of a learning management system, in a website. It could basically be anywhere. So I just created this simple sign-on. Obviously, you can use like a single sign-on method, but this is just if you want to have a sign-in screen. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to be developing today in Storyline. So this is what I made in Adobe XD in my previous videos. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play so you can see the prototype. So you can see there, it's just a simple sign-in card that you could overlay on top of your project, or you could use as standalone like this. The card flips in, like scrolls in and flies in here, and then the username piece flies in. Then after you hit enter, there will be this next screen, which I did not prototype in, which asks you to enter in your email, and then you can submit it and it will enter you into that project. You can also cache this so that if someone is going to be coming back to the project again, this doesn't come back up. But we're just going to be creating this simple sign-in screen in Storyline now. So the way that I like to begin projects and the way that this is designed right now is I use a template just to begin with. And you can have something like this already saved, or you can come to this design system that I created. So I have a Storyline component here, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the Chromeless Player. So my Chromeless Player, it's just basically this transparent player. It doesn't use any like the built-in Storyline player functionality, and it's at 1280 by 720, which I think is an aspect ratio of 4:3. So I like to use this, and then I always have it set as full screen, so it fills the whole screen. And it just gives us like a really crisp, simple, modern Storyline file to play with. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in Storyline. There's a few other things that I'm going to use that I have in my design system. So design systems help you to quickly build cohesive experiences. And some of the things I'm going to use maybe are the colors from here. I have a color palette. Typically you'd have something that tells you how to use the colors too, but for this we're just going to take from here. So we've got that background. It's what I like to call seashell. I named my color seashell. And I'm going to put that in here. So we're about to start our project. I opened this transparent player template, but I'm going to go ahead and save this as a sign-in form to my actual sign-in folder. So we'll see. I think XAPI sign-in form. And I may have one. I have another one in here because I just wanted to play around with something. So I'll just call it sign-in form 2 for now. So the one thing that we want to change on this, based on how I have it in the XD example, is go to player. And we're going to have that background be the seashell color. Sometimes this just takes a second because I'm using Parallels on Mac. So I'm going to go to page background, and you can do this also through JavaScript, but just because the background is not going to change for this one, I'm going to do it here. So the page background will be that seashell-y kind of looking color. Another thing to note on here, in the project itself, you can see behind this form here, and in order to do that, and I have my template set up for this, you want to go to Format Background and make sure your transparency is at 100%. So this is going to be a transparent stage. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that seashell color is a little bit darker, and I think I may have used a lighter color for this. So the great thing about Adobe XD too is that you can come into Adobe XD and just right click and copy the color. So I'm going to use that color that I have here. So I'm going to go back into design. Player. And I'm going to change this to the other color. And maybe use the same background color on everything and you don't have to keep coming back in and changing things. You can see that's a little lighter. So if I publish this now, all you're going to see is that blue. You're not going to see anything else. The next thing that I did a little bit differently from in these videos and that I changed after I did the videos was I exported the card itself, not anything with it, to a PNG. And I didn't really like the way the hand had like all the had all these little circles and different things around it, like shapes. It was just like a little too messy looking for me, and I want this to be really simple. So what I did was I exported this card and then I exported the hand, which was I think originally a kind of small-ish PNG. And there's SVGs, but you have to have a premium account to download the SVGs from the site that I got it from. Additionally, I had this card that this one that I developed that's a little bit of a different layout, but I'm going to go with this one that I had originally planned on doing. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to import that background, that card. Oh, and I did not mean to go to photos. So I'm going to go back into pictures. Let's just take a moment. So picture, and then I'm going to go back into, I think I put it into my form. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So let's see, we want this plain one here. I think we'll use that. And you can see it's almost exactly like on here because it's the same dimensions. So if you look at this one, it's 1280 by 720. So we've got that. And if we go to preview really quick, we'll see that it looks pretty similar. Yep. But it looks like, oh, you know what? Could I be wrong? I could be wrong. Let's see. It looks like the stage is a little bit weird. So let's see what happens if we publish. Looks a little weird in the preview, but I feel that it's probably not weird if we go here to preview. Okay, yep, it's perfect. That's good. All right, so let's not worry about the preview. I guess it's still, for some reason, showing the stage, even though it's actually transparent. But that's fine. So next, what we want to do is import that hand in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to picture again, find the hand, the waving friendly hand. Oh no, did I not import it? Darn it. Okay. So let's go ahead and get the hand from XD. Grab the hand. Export. And I guess we could just call it and, I guess. Can do for web. Do 2 times. Come back in here. Picture. Large hand. in the center, and then there we go. Make sure it's in the center. All right, it's coming along. And obviously this works really well if you have multiple screens, but for this I don't, because it'd be just kind of chaos. Flipping back and forth is a little bit difficult, but that's what we're gonna do. Alrighty, so next let's go back and see what we want to do next. Maybe we'll just keep going down the list here. So the next piece we want to do is the hi there, and the hi there is circular and it's 42. So the font is circular text 42. So we're going to come in here. Something else that I like to do before going forward is duplicating screens too. I don't duplicate screens until I make sure everything's accessible as well. So we may change that too. And the fonts in here, I'm not quite sure about the font size. We'll see how this works out, but may want to change that as well. So the color I'm using is this color here, and what I'm going to do is just make sure that I'm using that as well where I have it. So but then once you have this form done, I mean, you can really use it in multiple places. It can be used many different times if you so desire. And so we're using the font Adobe Garamond Pro, font size 28, and then the fill is 101010, which is a little bit of a off black color. Oh, you know what? I should grab this because I'm lazy and I don't want to type. Another great thing about working in Adobe XD is, I think this was 28. If you don't have the text, you can put in Lorem Ipsum by just clicking on a text field and like populating it, which is pretty darn cool. Although I feel like most people recommend having some kind of copy that makes sense so that you know what's going on. Okay, so let's see, what did that look like? I feel like this looks so much smaller. It looks so much smaller. We may change that. So that's the one thing that's like a little bit weird in Storyline is the fonts always look so different, the sizes of them. So we might size these down both by a few pixels. So just to get it looking kind of similar, so let's do 22 and see what that does for us. So that's looking more like it. And then this one's, let's change this to 20, what does that look like? We'll see, it might be too small. Ooh, that looks aggressively small. Okay, maybe not, like 34. I don't like the difference in these being that big, but oh well, okay. We'll figure it out. Nothing is set in stone. You can always change things, right? It's just how much time do you want to spend changing stuff. And then, so we have this be Adobe Garamond Pro, and then I want to change that color. And you can already have these colors set up. That'll probably save you a lot of time. I'm going to use 101010, and that would save you a lot of time too. Next, what do we have? Enter your email. So that's going to also be circular, and then we're going to do a form field. Be the opposite of lazy here. Enter your email, because that's not too much to be typing. Because circular. And maybe we just, so we can actually just copy this, and then we'll make this probably smaller, like 28. And okay, play more around with this. All right, so the next part is a little bit of a creative challenge. Everything so far is pretty simple. The next piece is going to be actually that form field for the email. So I like to say this is a creative challenge because if you go to insert and you go to input, there's a data entry field. And you can put this in here, but you can't really make it look like a long circular type thing, oblong shape. So what we need to do with this is we'll put this in here, but let's change this to like stark white. And then we don't want any kind of outline. So you can see, and we don't probably want anything in there. And we go to format. And let's move it in a little. And I think, what size is this? Is this 28? 22. We'll make whatever is going to go in here, which let's just use Adobe Garamond, and like let's make this 22 too. All right, so now here's our challenge. We want it to look oblong. So what we have to do is kind of fake it, and we do that by using a rectangle. Oh, do we want to use a rectangle? Hold on. No, actually, okay. What we want to do is use a rounded rectangle, and we want to get that shape looking like that oblong text field. So we're going to take this little guy, this yellow one, and pull it all the way in so that it looks like that. And we may need to adjust things just based on how much space we have in here and everything else. So we're going to line everything here, move it up, and then we will push this to the back a little bit below this and move this over here. Can kind of make it a little bit bigger, and then maybe we'll make this a little smaller. And I don't have it exactly like the other one. So let's go ahead and move this over. And then let's take a look at the border. We have that as a 3. So I can come back in here and change this, and we'll have the border be 3, and we'll change the outline color. And we may change that to be even more so, and then I'll change the inside. So you could see the differences between the two tools, really. This border looks a little like thinner than the one that we have right here, just a tad bit. So perhaps we would change this to be a little bit thicker. So maybe like 4 gives it a little bit more pop. And then maybe we'll make this a little bit more thin and align these again. And maybe I want this to be obviously not that far over, but be more closer to the edge, so it gives that look like you're typing like right in there. So let's go ahead. And I may adjust some of this stuff a little bit more based on how much space I have and like what sticks out the most and those types of things. So let's just take a look at this really quick. As you can see, it's really coming along. I think that text field is a little bit big, but let's type in and see. It's a little too high up the field, so we'll probably move that to the bottom and maybe condense it a little bit more, because it just feels the height feels like a little much. So let's go ahead. Maybe I can keep it here at this bottom point. Obviously that looks a little funky. I mean, I guess we could really make this transparent, couldn't we? Couldn't we? Yes. Let's see. Okay. Change that, because then we can have it at the bottom if we really want. But let's see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. I like that. But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. it looks it looks more thin in what I did over here. I don't know. Should I make it more thin? Something, perhaps. Maybe that's too thin. Does it matter? I don't know. Let's see. I think that looks pretty good for now. Let's just leave it like that. Now, the next piece we want to do is, let's see, the submit button. And then the other two things, they're gonna let you know like what part of the form you're on. So there's two parts. There's the email and then there's the username. So what we're gonna do is, let's make this submit button and then we'll end the video there and go on to the next piece, which are gonna be adding those little guys in, the little indicator things. So let's see, we're gonna do our own button. We're gonna do it the same way that we did the text field. Wanna make it not too big, but let's see, do that. And then we wanna have it line up. Maybe we wanna have them be the same height. Yeah, 75. Okay, well that's decent there. Okay, no, okay. Select this, have it be over there. Then we make it the same color as that green. We'll just eyedrop that. We will not have an outline. And then obviously gonna write submit all in caps. So something interesting, I'm really interested in just learning more about UX stuff and like best practices in copy and things like that. And if you're doing like a button like this, it's totally cool to put all caps, but you don't want to do it on like long sentences or anything like that because then that's like a little strange. And I'll just be consistent on all my buttons then and make sure they're all caps because that'll keep it consistent. And then I'm gonna probably do same color and maybe 22. I want to make sure. Oh, you know what? I could probably just type this in there. See, this is when you get in your zone and you're just like, oh, and I could just type submit in there. And this is what happens. But this is true work in progress, and this is what happens when I'm working. So I guess makes sense. Alrighty. Another thing we didn't do in the design that I didn't do, rather, is put states for the button. So like, what's it gonna look like when you hover on it? What's it gonna look like when you press down on it? We can play around with that. Let me see, width 167. Let's see what our width is here. It's actually longer. Sorry, we can play around with this too. So I could go to the halfway point with this. That looks like a little much. I don't know. But maybe we'll just try that anyway. And then, oh yeah, we want to leave some space in here so that if you do something that's not correct, then we know. So maybe I just move these things up a little. Okay, so now we want to think about the states. So we're gonna have some different states that we're gonna add here. Duplicate this. Now we want to have a hover state because obviously this is in Storyline. Most people will hopefully not be on their phones, but it would be ideal if they were not on their phones, but you know, it may happen. But hover state for if they're not. And then we're gonna do another state, which is the down state. So hover, I always go back and forth. What should it be lighter? Should it be darker? Let's just do darker for now, and maybe we'll just do the same color for both. So let's see. So let us see. This is our color here, And maybe we just go a tad darker for that. And then we will go over here and we'll do the same for this one. I can just eyedrop it if I so choose from over here. So those are going to be the same. So let's go ahead and take a peek at this. And then if we do that, we got that happening. So pretty cool. And you can do whatever variation of this you want. I'm going to give this to people to use for free. So if people want to come and just like change the colors or do whatever, you can go ahead and do that. Let's also make sure this works. Alright, so that's pretty good for now. In the next video, what we'll go over is making sure that everything, the tab order and everything's appropriate. We'll start to do animations. We'll add in those like little dot indicators down here and do a few other things just to start to make it function. And then finally what we'll do is we'll duplicate everything. We'll add in the JavaScript that makes all of this work to make sure it's a real email. And anything else that I forgot to cover, we will cover. So I'll try to finish this up in about two more videos. So stay tuned for the next one.